This week on the Ocean Cruises podcast, I'm having a chat with Coach Jack Karger from Vagabonde Adventures. Jack has been sailing for over a decade. He's also an RYA and ASA certified ocean skipper, doing everything from charters in the Med to performance sailing courses in the Bahamas, delivering performance catamarans, and most recently setting up Vagabonde Adventures with his partner Etta, offering sailing experiences for every level of sailor as well as handover induction courses for new boat owners. If you want to experience living on the water and cruising in some of the best locations on earth, visit vagabondeadventures.com to learn more about sailing with Jack and Etta. For anybody who would like to support the podcast and video productions we do, off the back of folks requesting some of the merchandise we used during the Odyssey Sailing Festival, we've made them available on the website, as well as some Ocean Cruises podcast t-shirts, hoodies, and a few other bits. Visit the website for more details, but for now, enjoy the podcast with Jack. Yeah, you know, I think if the YouTube stuff wasn't at that boat show, it wouldn't get I won't say nowhere near, but I'm sure a lot of people only turn up for that booth where the YouTube sailors go. There was a lot of enthusiasm for it at that boat show. It was wild.
Way less people would come, for sure, because, go to a boat show to buy a new set of Fowlies or maybe a new chart plotter. No, screw that. I'll just buy it online, whatever. Or in my local store or whatever. Or, Colin and the crew are going to be there, or Riley and Elena are going to be there, and okay, we're definitely going to go. And while we're there, we're going to get a deal on Fowlies, and then we're going to dream about our future boats and all that sort of stuff. I think it's great because you get people that maybe have just watched YouTube, and then they're there, they meet the YouTubers, and then they actually realize that these people are cool, they're nice, and they're normal people, and then they start walking around, and then they start seeing boats, and then they start dreaming. And then, it can be that perfect snowball effect kind of thing. So, I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
Mate, do you know another thing that really surprised me about that boat show? I used to go to a lot of energy industry conventions, all over the world and stuff, like oil and gas and renewables and stuff like that. And they were always very much about advertise, show your face, but it's more, because you want to be there, it's part of the industry. Whereas walking around Annapolis, people were coming up and talking to me, and I'm always just what boat have you got? What are you looking at? And they're always like, oh, we just bought one. There was so many people bought boats at that boat show. It was crazy, spending a lot of cash on boats as well.
Yeah. It was really cool. Yeah, I think people actually do go there to spend money. Boats. For us, it was actually awesome. Yeah, it was just as awesome to meet potential clients as to make all those connections. And also just to prove that we're still here, when we were there last year, it was the youngsters are on La Vagabonde, they're going to have a crack at chartering. And now it was no, we're still here. Look at our flag. We're here. We're doing it. We're still going for it. So that was cool.
Yeah. I tell you what, mate, that's a good place to go into your background a bit. Because obviously you just said, these youngsters who just started chartering, you've been doing this for a long time. You've been working the rounds, haven't you, for quite a while now?
Yeah. I think it's actually pretty cool. I've been doing it nearly a decade now. And I think starting the Vagabonde Adventures thing was cool because I started with Riley. I don't know if you want me to give you the full story. It is actually pretty cool. But I started with Riley. Then I went off and got all my experience. And then it kind of if I had just learned with Riley and then just jumped on one of their boats and tried to run charters, it wouldn't be valid, I don't think. But I've gone off, I've got my own experience on my own, paid for all my own courses, blah, 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 and done my miles. And now is kind of the perfect time where, I can do it. And it was a perfect time to bring it all back together. They were at a perfect time with their catamaran wanting to get off of it. Well, they were off of it. And it wasn't really the perfect time, but it was just all right, it's now or never. I'm either going to keep working for other people or build my own thing with some random boat I can find. But this was the perfect time of their sort of peak popularity and my sort of pretty solid experience. So that was cool.
Yeah, mate, a lot of experience as well. We were having some pretty good chats about the RYA and the ASA and all the different certification bodies and stuff like that. So when did you start? So you started sailing, presumably 10 years ago then?
Yeah, 2014. So almost 10 years ago. So I was on. Do you want to hear the full story? It's pretty funny.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So I was on a European road trip with my girlfriend at the time. I bought a car. My sister lives in France. I bought a car there, doing a big road trip. I was in Austria or Germany or something, and my mum was like, "Oh, your cousin Riley's in Europe." And I'm like, "Yeah, fantastic, mum. I'll probably bump into him. Europe's tiny." And and then she's like, "Oh yeah, he's got a boat or something." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Now I'm listening. What's going on here?"
Free
And
holiday.
I wasn't into sailing at all. Yeah, it was literally a free holiday kind of deal. I was like, okay, what's going on here? So I added Riley on Facebook. Like we weren't really close. He's a couple of years older than me. He grew up like 16 hours drive away from me. So we'd probably
Right.
only really hung out a handful of times when I was younger at like family weddings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I added him on Facebook and I was like, "Hey mate, I heard you got a boat." He's like, "Yeah, man, come down and meet me in Croatia." And I was like, "Oh, cool, that's nice of my cousin, like invite me down." So like it was a sketchy road trip. Got lost in the back of Bosnia somewhere. I'm driving down from
Holy shit.
Austria at the time, and by the time I got there, I had to go to Montenegro because he'd been sailing down with his mum, my auntie, and yeah, he'd been sailing down the coast. So I get to Montenegro, put my car in paid parking. So it was pre Elena, so it's just Riley. Probably 2 or 3 months into boat ownership of his first boat, the monohull,
Yeah.
and so it was just Riley, my girlfriend at the time, and me. And I had no clue. I was eager, but I had no clue. So we sailed Montenegro down to Albania. It was only like 3 days. But one day we were sailing out of this crazy deserted military base bay in Montenegro where we thought we were going to die. And as we pull out, we just see these big black clouds, and Riley's like, "Ooh, I don't know about them. What do you reckon, Jack? Should we turn back and we'll hang out there another day, or should we just go for
Coming
it?"
to you for advice.
"Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I didn't have a clue, but I was just like, "Yeah, man, let's go for it." So next minute, we just sailed straight into this big storm. I had a woolen jumper on, just like sodden, just absolutely hating it. My girlfriend at the time is down below, just like, "I'm not even coming up on deck anymore. Like, screw you guys, you're crazy." Poor Riley, all credit to him, just gets us through that mess because I was useless. Like, I'm just like a wet puppy sitting there. And so we pulled into Albania, some sketchy fishing port, and like the most northern port of Albania. And apparently Albania is great to go to now, but it was a little, I don't know, we were a little
10 years
nervous
ago.
yeah, we were a little nervous there. I don't know. Everything was fine, but it was just a little sketchy. Like there was, as soon as we climbed, I think we pulled up we were in some like big fishing port with like huge tractor tires as like bumpers against like fenders or whatever against the big dock. We had to like climb up them. And then as we go on the foreshore, there's like a bear dancing and stuff with a ring through its nose. I tried to take a photo of it on my phone. The guy like chased after me. There was a guy like cutting grass in this fairground sort of thing, like big long grass with like a tiny little like saber thing, just like mowing the lawn. And I was just
That's
like,
what you
"Oh,
think
okay."
of when you say Albania. Like,
Yeah, but apparently now it's awesome. It's like the tourism hotspot.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was just like, I'm from a tiny town, right? So I was just like eyes wide open, like, "Whoa, this is mad." Anyway, long story short, Riley's like, "Sail with us to Greece, man. Let's go." And I was like, "Dude, my car's in paid parking in Montenegro with like all my stuff in it. Like I need to go back." So I caught like it was like 5 taxis and 2 buses to get. I had to get a taxi to take me across the border, Albania to Montenegro. I thought I was going to get killed at one point. Yeah. Okay, this is a side story. We're driving along like dirt roads, like big potholes and stuff. And then we go down this alleyway, and I couldn't even converse with the taxi driver at all. Go down this alleyway, and it's like 12-foot tall fences just either side of the car. We go down, and then it's just like a circle ring at the end with just like big tall fences, like corrugated iron fences. Then we pull up there, and then I'm in the front seat. My girlfriend is like pinching me on the arm, like, "Where the hell are we?" kind of thing. And and then the taxi driver gets out, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" He goes to the back of the car, pulls out a sack of fertilizer and a shovel, and I'm like, "Oh shit, he's gonna kill us!" And then bury us in a hole with the fertilizer, so we decompose. He's gonna like take our passports or something.
Yeah, I would jump to that as well immediately.
Anyway, he knocks on the gate, and this old lady just comes out, and she's like, "Oh, thank you. You shoveled fertilizer," like takes it in, like, and then we just keep driving. Everything.
So that's his side hustle, basically. He's just selling fertilizer to grandmas on the
side. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Anyway, long story short, Riley goes on to Greece, meets Elena. I go home to work for my dad for the summer. And then Riley knows, he was just like, oh, well, Jack doesn't get scared in storms. And he knew I wasn't really stoked to be back in my hometown. And so when he met Elena, he always wanted to sail solo, right? But then he met Elena, they're sailing together. They're prepping for the Atlantic crossing after sailing the Med. And then Elena's like, come on, we need one more person. And Riley's like, all right, I'll hit Jack up. And then so then he's like, hey, man, you want to come across the Atlantic Ocean? And I'm sitting in my little hometown. And I'm like, okay, quick Google. Yeah, the Atlantic Ocean. That's right. It's that one. Yeah, man. Yeah, sick. Like clueless. And then he's like, yeah, you have to sail. You have to fly to the Canary Islands. And I was like, Canary Islands. Oh, those ones. Yeah, cool. All right, let's go. Yeah. And then so my second sailing trip was crossing the Atlantic with them. And then and then the story goes on a little bit, but it is fun. But so I met an Aussie dude in Cape Verde as we were prepping the boats to cross, and then bumped into that Aussie dude again after crossing the Atlantic in the British Virgin Islands. Lovely guy. And I had to get off Riley's boat because he had friends coming. And then the Aussie guy's like, hey, man, can you help me? I need crew just for like 2 days. And then 2 days turned into 5 or 6 weeks of just sailing around the British Virgin Islands with him.
Oh, nice.
It was awesome. And then he used to work for the Yacht Week, which is a huge flotilla company. And so the Yacht Week's in BVI for spring break. And he goes, Jack, we're going to go catch up with the Yacht Week tomorrow. And I was like, what's that? He said, I think you're going to like it. And so we pulled into a bay, and next minute, like 7 dinghies that were just flying at us. All these young dudes like, sick, James, this is your new boat. What's going on? And then everyone's like, who are you, dude? And I'm like, hey, man, I'm Jack. Let's go. And so we had like VIP passes basically to the Yacht Week for 2 weeks in the British Virgin Islands. And it was incredible just meeting all the skippers and all the crazy guests, and it's all parties and stuff like that there, but just fantastic sailing as well. And then at the end of it, I was going to fly home. I was done sailing, but all the fantastic skippers and my buddy James, they were all like, hey, man, you should become a skipper. Like I kind of like was picking up stuff fairly quickly and obviously, loved it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Maybe I will do that. So I was like, what do I do? How do I do it? So I flew to England, did my RYA Yachtmaster in England after that, and then flew to Croatia, did the training for the Yacht Week, the quarterdeck training for that. And then I was working in Croatia after that. And then, so I did 2 weeks of work in Croatia. The second week, my second ever week of professional skippering, I had the CEO of the parent company of Yacht Week and his family on my boat, and crazy storms and stuff in Croatia. Got through all that unscathed. Then we had a week off, traveled with some friends through Bosnia, and then I had to go and work in Greece. In Bosnia, I got down to $11.23, spread across 3 bank accounts. Like I was just broke. And then I worked eight weeks in Greece back to back. And I was lead skipper in one of those weeks early on. And then invoiced for my first few weeks of work finally and got paid. And then crossed the Atlantic again, sailed a Lagoon 56-foot cat, Lagoon 560 from Barcelona to the Canaries, and then jumped on a 60-foot monohull to go Canaries across to St. Martin, and then went and worked in the British Virgin Islands. And that was all in my first year of sailing. So I crossed the Atlantic twice, started working for Yacht Week, got my Yachtmaster, started working for Yacht Week, and then I was hooked. And then I was properly hooked. But shout out to Riley for inviting me on that holiday, and James. So James went on to found Sailing Virgins, and I ended up working for him, sailing school in the end. So that's the Aussie guy that I jumped on his boat and followed Yacht Week around and stuff. So yeah, it was a big year, and man, transformative for sure.
Yeah, amazing.
And that's the end of that story. I can take a breath.
It just always starts with an invite, doesn't it, mate? I look like I've had loads of people on my boat this year because, like, when I got my boat in the water in, like, I think it was June or something like that. I knew from my experience on the water as like a kid, and then when I got my first boat. But then moving into cruising boats, it's actually difficult to get experience on cruising boats with cruisers, not
It,
chartering, because it's different.
yeah,
To be able to like learn what it's about, live, travel, do it in one thing. So I was like, I just want to open my boat up to whoever wants to, come and like learn how to do this. And it was like 95% great experiences. I had like one person that was like, should not have been there for a lot of reasons.
yeah,
But it's awesome because like I can't wait and they all want to buy boats now and they all want to go cruising. So
yeah,
I can't wait in like 3 years to just like see all these people on boats and like doing it the way you did with like Riley and James and being like, I had an impact in that. I had like a part of that. And yeah, it's great to be able to do that the way your mates did it with you and got you into it.
I mean, it's a win-win, right? So you get some
Yeah,
help, you get interesting people to be around, because that's the one thing when you're sailing, when you're cruising, especially sometimes if it's just you and your partner or whatever, it can get lonely, especially if you're not buddy boating and stuff. And it makes
yeah.
it fun. You get people to come on, they can share the costs and stuff, and really it can be a total life transformation. So it's awesome
Oh yeah.
for you to offer that, and I changed my life. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
It's really
100%.
cool.
I had a couple on from Australia this summer. I think they ended up staying aboard for like a couple of weeks or a few weeks, but they just watched. I think they watched Riley and Elena actually on YouTube. I think they watched. Yeah, I think they watched Riley and Elena, and then they're like, oh, we just want to buy a boat, and we just had a great couple of weeks, like high quality people, and yeah, they're now back in Australia in the what is it? I think it's the northwest, like the mining part. Would that be right? The northwest of
Yeah,
Australia
yeah, yeah,
mining.
yep. Like Broome, that sort of area. Yep.
Yeah, they're from this town where it just sounds weird. It's like indigenous people, but then just oil and gas people, and like it's just
Yeah,
this one town that's set up in the middle of nowhere, and everything's strange. I can't remember where, but it sounded wild. The place where they live. Um,
yeah.
I
That's
spoke to a
Western
couple.
Australia for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's like man, that country's so big. It's too big. They need to
Yeah.
like just take the center away and then like move it all into one piece in the middle. I think that would be the best thing to do. So,
Yeah.
mate, you just went straight in for the yachtmaster after having like some crewing experience. Like that was is
Yeah.
that, the theory is hard. Like to learn all that, so it's just melding into your mind. That's tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily, when I was sailing around the British Virgin Islands, that guy was a yachtmaster instructor. He wasn't
Oh,
trying to
nice.
instruct me, but I was just frothing sailing. So, he's just giving me pointers and tips and stuff like that. But when I asked, like, okay, if I want to become a professional skipper, his advice was, okay, well, you should go to the hardest place in the world to do it. And if you can
Mm,
do it there, you've proven yourself, you're good. So that's what I did. I flew to the Solent in England,
yeah.
South England, and yeah, I did it there, and it was a stretch. So when I got off his boat in the British Virgin Islands, I went and stayed with a friend in New York, and I just had one book to read, and I was
Mm,
visiting New York for the first time, so I wasn't studying that hard and stuff. And then when I got there, the instructor. So the way the RYA works, the instructor is basically there for a 5-day prep course usually, and then you've got a 2-day exam at the end.
yeah.
And during that 5-day prep course, he's like, "Oh, can you do a course to steer for me or something?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. All right, I've heard about these. Can you show me how to do it?" And this instructor was basically like, "Whoa, dude, you should know how to do this. You're just here to get like exam preparation for the practical." And he was right, but he didn't really want to help me. And I ended up. He helped a little bit, but I needed a bit more work. So I could have just scraped through for the yacht master with like some late nights and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
luckily enough, there was so much luck that rolled along with this year. Luckily enough, I was on board with a 68-year-old and a 72-year-old, lovely gentleman from the UK, and the guy was like, "Okay, well, I recommend you take a week off, do some theory practice during that week, and then come back, and you should pass the exam next week." And
Nice.
because it was just the theory that was letting me down a bit. And
Hmm.
then luckily, these gentlemen, they were, they didn't need their yacht master. They'd been sailing their whole lives. They just wanted to do it as a personal sort of challenge. But they were older, so they couldn't really get around on deck. We're doing it on like a 36 Bavaria or something.
Hmm.
So them being the lovely gents, they were like, "Hey, stay on for our exam because we need you up on the bow to pick up mooring balls and when we're sailing onto balls and stuff like that. And and then you can see the exam, and then we'll pay for a theory day for you on shore while you wait for the next exam. And I was like, dude, that's perfect. So
amazing.
Helped them out through their exam. They both got through. I got to see the exam. I had a day in the classroom, and then I studied on my own. And then I passed the exam the next week. And that was the hardest I've ever pushed. I mean, school, I was decent at school, but I never really applied myself. I probably could have had good marks if I really applied myself, but I just didn't care that much. Yeah. And but during this yacht master, I wanted it so bad, and my mind, I remember my mind just feeling like it was going to explode during that time. And I got through it. Oh man, dude, when I passed my yacht master, I had some tears for sure. So it was epic.
It's a good achievement, mate. I mean, it's like, it sounds good as well, doesn't it? It's not like when you pass your driving test, it's like, oh, I've got my license. It's like, I'm a yacht master. Sounds impressive.
Yeah.
It's a good title. They nailed it with the marketing on that one.
So when I was in the Caribbean deciding to do this, I had to choose, do I fly home? Like, I had money saved for a flight home, or do I fly to the UK and do my yacht master? I didn't have money for both. Oh yeah, the story. Oh man. So during my yacht master, just past it, I'd spent all my money. I maybe had $300 left in my bank. And then I had enough for the training for Yacht Week in Croatia, which was $600, I think, from memory.
Okay.
And I had enough for that. But no, sorry, I didn't have enough. Sorry, this story's bad. But so I called my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I'm out of money. I had an old car in the shed. I was like, Dad, can you please sell that and put a low price on it? I need the money now. So he sold this old car that we had in the shed. I got $1,000 for it. And he deposited that into my bank account, and then just got the $1,000. Just tried to sign up for the yacht master. For the training in Croatia for Yacht Week, and then they were booked out. So I called James again, and I was like, James, dude, I've just done my yacht master, and now the Yacht Week training is booked out. So he pulled some strings. Luckily, he used to work there, and then I get a message from this guy from the London head office. He's like, hey, dude, James has pulled some strings for you. There's going to be one space open for the training week, but it's public. So start hitting refresh now. It's like refresh. One spot opens up, and then I book, and just made it through. So I was totally screwed. I'd done my yacht master and I had no money to fly home otherwise. So that was really lucky.
Yeah. So with the Yacht Week, I've never been to that, but I've seen all the marketing for it, and it just looks like it's what you imagine Cancun in Mexico to be like during spring break. If you're 20, you're just going to love it. But what's it like? And especially working on it.
So it's a great place to start as a skipper. If you're a salty old sailor and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just looking for some summer work, it's probably not the place to go to. Unless you've got a real lust for life and you want to have a great time and meet new people and all that sort of stuff. No, because that's what it's like. It looks like total debauchery, and at times it can be, but in fact, everybody is arriving. Every guest is arriving with this mindset of, I want to have the best week of my life. So when everybody rocks up like that with this, it's this amazing atmosphere. And then you're working with all these incredible people. So all my skipper friends now are Dutch, Austrian, Israeli, Jamaican, you name it, everywhere. People are from everywhere. And so you're meeting all these other young sailors who are now gone on to, people are out there on super yachts now. People are out there running 60+ foot cats. People are racing. People are working for America's Cup. People are doing all this amazing stuff just because they got a leg up in the industry, right? It would have been really hard for me to start. I don't know where I would have started, maybe as a decky on a super yacht or something, but that doesn't really give you that, 40 to 60 foot yacht captain sort of time, so it was so perfect for me. It's in that range of that size yachts. There isn't really a first mate position usually. So to build your time and captain time to actually get onto that is difficult, and that's the perfect place to get started. Because if I've got an Italian family who are in their 60s who've sailed their whole life, and I'm setting up my own itinerary to sail around, I don't know, Sicily or something like that, I'm going to have a really tough time. They're going to see straight through me. They're not going to have confidence in me and stuff like that as a young guy. And but when you're doing it with other young people your same age and you're in that flotilla sort of atmosphere, it's a great leg up as a young sailor, and it's a hell of a good time. To be honest, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done
no, it
with it
looks
now.
it.
I'm retired. I had a great time. I sailed the biggest boats there. I was lead skipper and route manager. But you eventually grow out of it. But that's the great thing. You get your leg up. You get your experience in the industry.
Yeah, then the
And
younglings
every
come
week
and
you
take those jobs.
exactly.
Yeah,
When you're tired of it, that's good. Move on. You're not the person for that job anymore. But
yeah,
every week you're sailing a different boat. So you might be on a 46-foot monohull, then a 40-foot cat, then a 50-foot monohull. So the first boat I skippered there was a 50-foot monohull. And then, I had 52-foot cats and 64-foot monohulls there and stuff. And it was every
that's
week
great
you're on a new boat.
experience.
So it's incredible experience.
Yeah,
And you really learn the systems of different boats, how to figure stuff out on the fly. You don't just get in the like sort of in the routine of sailing just one boat. So you're
yeah.
always figuring stuff out. And then the crew management and people public relations and all that sort of stuff. It's good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, I think I would have loved it. Like I got into sailing, I think when I was about, well, properly, like we had a boat and I was going out on the water when I was like 17, 18 in Wales and then the Lake District. But that obviously, yacht week, mate, yachting or as far as like chartering or like younger people sailing, that wasn't a thing. Like the marina where I kept my first boat, it was literally retired people. There was no young people.
Totally.
It looked weird when I turned up. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's just like this little shitty 20-foot boat. But yeah, it was weird. There was no one else young on there. I would have loved to have done something like that for a few years. It would have been amazing.
That's the other thing. It brings so many people in. Are you going to go and book a sailing trip if you don't know some? Like I was lucky, my cousin had a boat. I wouldn't have known of sailing otherwise. But if my
Yeah,
friends said, "Hey man," maybe if my bank account was a bit higher, "Hey man, do you want to come and have a crazy week on the water and go sailing and party all week?" Then if I was in that position, then yeah, hell yeah. So
yeah,
loads of my guests have now gone on to buy their own boats, to become professional skippers. Loads of the guests are like, "Oh my
amazing.
god, this is the best job in the world." So they start there, and now they're all running big boats and stuff. So it just gives people a great intro to sailing, really.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. So what's like? You've sailed a lot of the newer boats, like a lot of the newer catamarans and monohulls, and you've sailed like performance catamarans as well, like some of the really quick ones. Um, like not like racing, but like performance cruiser
I
catamarans, that
raced a
type
little
of
bit.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Raced a
yeah.
little. All right, cool. Yeah.
Tiny bit.
What's your take on like certain brand? I mean, you don't need to shit on any brands you don't want to or anything, but like we look at like some of the issues Lagoon have had, and then Beneteau and Jeanneau have gone a certain way, bit off the reservation, so to speak. Like, is
Yeah.
there any brands that you think are making like solid boats still?
Firstly, shout out to Colin from Parlay Revival for shining a light on that and not letting a
Oh yeah,
company get away scot-free.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think boat companies should be held accountable because people sell their house, sell their business, invest their whole lives in these boats that then go away and have pretty catastrophic failures. It's pretty insane what you see out there, and that then they're putting their lives at risk. So when I'm
Yeah.
training, especially on people's private boats, I'm like, brand new boats, especially, I'm like, hang on, like, just stuff's wrong on the boats. Like stuff's all
Yeah.
just falling apart. And I'm like, hang on, like, did you mess with this? Like, did you alter this and now it's falling apart? And they're like, no, we haven't touched it. It's like from factory like that.
Yeah.
Man, that's not fair. That's not fair to people for that to happen. So I think
Yeah.
companies need to be held accountable. They need to have better customer service. I guess what you can get by me saying this is that not many companies are doing the most outstanding job. Yeah, I don't. I think a lot of companies can do better. I don't. I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't know which companies are incredible for public, customer service and stuff like that. I don't know who's doing an amazing job. Honestly, yeah, that's
No, the big
it.
names. Like you'd have to be looking at like the smaller brands who are doing like custom boats and stuff like that, and then you get really good service in some cases. Mate, we did like a series ages ago talking about Sirius yachts. Have you seen those? Can't remember which country they're made in.
Serious. I don't know them. No.
Oh, mate, let me see what country they're made and just do a quick. So the mono hulls, I think the biggest one they do is actually like 40 foot or 45 foot, the deck saloons. But the guy that runs the company, super engaged with his customers. Like he'll call people up and talk about problems and he'll help them. And like, he's at all the boat shows.
Should be.
Yeah, it's the way it should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, but the thing why it stands out is because none of them do that. So yeah, like when we would look at Sirius yachts, where are they made? Oh yeah, so 40 is the big German. They're actually German. They're good at making stuff. The Germans,
that's why. That's why.
Yeah, they are good at making stuff. Mate, I'll send you a link on some of them. They're like high quality, like well built monohulls. But you know, like 700-800 grand for a 40 footer. That's what you're talking now.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I think there's just maybe not enough money in the yachting, in the yacht building industry for them to properly test their boats. I think I did hear that Lagoon with their newest model sailed, like, I don't know if they did a circumnavigation, but they did a huge sail. It was post Parlay Revival and all that sort of stuff. And I think they did a huge sale to test their boat before they released it on the market. And, you know, if cars, okay, they sell a lot more units, but they'll do hundreds, if not thousands of hours of testing before it reaches the market. And with boats, that just doesn't happen. I crossed the Pacific last year on a pretty awesome catamaran, but it's hull number one, right? So the owners knew what they were getting into. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to get a deal on this boat. But part of that deal is that you give us feedback on things. Yeah, you're the test boat. Yeah. And like we're on the test boat. I joined in Miami. It had only sailed the Bahamas and then through to Panama. I joined in Panama and we did the whole of French Polynesia. You know, and I'm like in the middle of the Pacific one day thinking like, oh yeah, we're the crash test dummies here. Like I hope nothing catastrophic happens. And there was issues as with any hull number one. But yeah, they were onto it and that company looked after the owners. And luckily I was the owner, you know, I wasn't with these people that had no clue what they were doing and it was all on me. The owner was an absolute legend, like very resourceful guy, and we worked through a bunch of problems together and figured stuff out. But yeah, it is just crazy to think that, oh yeah, here's hull number one of a brand new build and let us know if there's any failures.
Manny, you know, the crazy, it's so like, it's such a contrast to what you get with like the automotive industry or even like the aeronautical industry. They're like companies that make small jets, like not Boeing and, you know, all these companies in Airbus and whatever, but like, can you imagine like selling a private jet to a client who's spending a wedge on a private jet, as any new boat owner does? You know, if you go and buy a new boat, they're all expensive. You know, it's not like a normal family can afford a new sailing boat. And like, it's a case of, right, this is our new private jet. It's a new design. We're not sure how it's going to perform out there. Can you let us know after like 500 hours? You'd be like, what?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
How about no?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm in a bunch of owners groups on Facebook, and it's basically
stories are brilliant.
Other owners. The stories are crazy, but the other owners are just supporting the other owners. Like very little from the companies. You know, the companies just don't have enough people to support. But I'm in a certain owners group, and the people are basically saying there's no support customer service, a monohull brand. And yeah, you're just on your own and ask us if you've got any questions. This is just other owners to other owners. And it's like, man, it's kind of rough.
Mate, well, I'm in loads of them because I just want to see like how fucked up new boats are. And it's upsetting because you've just spent like 2 million on a boat that's falling to bits. That's not nice. Mate, the worst one, because I mean, I'm probably going to get kicked out of this group now, but I'll tell you.
I'm thinking this as well.
yeah, I'm going to get kicked out because my name's in all of them. So Hans Yachts, the amount of people that buy Hans Yachts and then they're putting these photos on of like, literally, it's just been commissioned, it's been signed off, you know, it's just been delivered, and they're putting these photos on of stuff that's like snapped, broke, cracked, not working, cupboards falling apart, like laminate peeling off already. I'm like, £500,000 for a 40 footer, and this is what's going on. This is nuts. But mate, with Jeannot, like, I I mean, do you know, mate, boats in high numbers, they should be thinking like we need to double everything up because once this stuff breaks, we need to like make sure that these are available. Mate, I've got people messaging me who've like seen us, with the social stuff that we do with our boat. And they're like, oh, mate, I'm in like Australia. Can you recommend a good dealer in Europe to get a part? I'm like, you need to go to the other side of Earth to try and get a bit for your boat that's made by the biggest boat manufacturer in the world. Like, that is disastrous. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. But that's why everyone's, people are always talking about which boat should I buy? I've seen these at the factory, and I'm like, buy something that's 3 years old, that the original owners fixed all the gremlins, added the
Yeah.
solar to, fixed the water maker, added all the bits and pieces that you need to go cruising or whatever you want to do. But it's like new boat problems. That's what we say. It's just it's real.
Very
Yeah.
true, mate. I was in our local marina in Spain, here in the south of Spain, and there's a Beneteau dealer there. It's run by a family, but they're a really nice family, like super helpful. And I said, can I just take a look at them? Because I've never seen what the new ones look like. I'd only sailed like the old Clippers and stuff like that in the Med, and then I crossed on a couple of them. And so he showed me this like brand new, like 45.1, I think it was. Beautiful looking boat.
46.1, yeah.
Yeah, it's there. That's it. And like, but it looked good actually. Like it looked like it was, it's a coastal cruiser, but like well built for a coastal cruiser. And he was like, "Oh, this is like however many hundreds of thousands." And he was like, "But I've got the older model that's 2 years old there for the same price, and it's much better." I was like, "Well, how does that work out? It's the same price, but it's 2 years old." And he was like, "No, everything's been fixed." I was like, "What do you mean everything's
Yeah.
been fixed?" And he was like, "Oh no, you don't want to buy this." I was like, "Yeah, but this is the new one." He was like, "No, you don't want to buy this." I was like, "Okay, fine." So I actively telling me to buy
Yeah,
the
it's
used one.
mad. It's mad. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
mad.
crazy stuff.
But yeah, but then, other people don't want to buy a boat that's been lived in by anyone else. They want to take wrappers off of everything. And I mean, a boat is an investment where you have to understand that there's going to be continual work and all that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah.
whether it's new or whether it's old, you're going to be fixing stuff all the time. So
Yeah.
people say cruising is fixing your boat in exotic places. So that's pretty accurate.
If you're lucky, you're fixing your boat in exotic places. If you're not,
Yeah,
you're
that's
just
right.
like shithole marina somewhere trying to wait a week for a part or some. Oh mate, and the hardest thing when you're cruising is getting parts. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll pull up
Yeah,
somewhere and it's like I can't get anything delivered. Like where am I going to get it
yeah,
delivered to? It's going to take a week to turn up. You know what it's like. You know what it's like. So mate, what's
yeah.
going on with Vagabond Adventures then? So you started doing some cruising on the Outremer, and you've done
Yeah.
flotillas. You're doing courses all over the world now. Like it seems to be a pretty big thing. It's taken off.
Yeah, so this all started mid-Pacific, right? So literally, I have my first sketches were in the Galapagos of the logo and stuff like this. I think it's my idea, but my girlfriend Etta thinks it was her idea that, hey, come on, let's jump on La Vagabond and offer charters. So I'll credit it to Etta or I'll be in trouble. But yeah,
But
so
we know it was your idea.
Riley, Riley and Elena, no, it was probably her. She has all the ideas. Riley and Elena, yeah, they were off the boat getting their new trimaran, right? And I finally got the experience where I feel like I can do this myself. And I was working for a great company at the time, Nautilus Sailing. Etta was doing her masters in Berlin, so I was flying 3 weeks Berlin, 3 weeks Bahamas, instructing. It was great, but then yeah, we started the Pacific crossing. She pulled out of uni to come and do that, and then it was like, okay, it's now or never. If we're going to do our own business, it's now or never. So we asked Riley and Elena, and the boat was like nearly sold, right? So we were like, hey, we have this crazy idea. We can run charters on La Vagabond. And full credit to those guys. They were like, yeah, we really need to sell the boat, but yeah, we think this is a good idea. And then so we came to an agreement where it was just like, you guys can have the boat for one season, build the brand, prove yourself, get the content, all that sort of stuff, and get the good reviews and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we had our first season. We based ourselves down in the Abaco Islands. So we sailed down
Nice.
there after the Annapolis Boat Show the other year.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was incredible. So much fun. 5-star reviews from everyone. Had a great time. Sailed Abaco's paradise. I love it there. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
perfect mix of everywhere. And then yeah, so we just sold the boat at the end of the season. So I sailed it out of the Bahamas up to Charleston. The multi-hull company up there took it on to sell it. And literally, I'm still packing my bags to get off the boat. And this couple, Greek couple that live in Miami, I think, they came through and checked out the boat. Literally, as I'm packing my bags, had a look around, and they ended up buying it. First people that saw it, so that was cool.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, now, so everyone's like, "What's happening with Vagabond Adventures? Is it closed down?" And actually, it's a blessing in disguise. It was fantastic to build our brand with Le Vagabond, but it was a 3-cabin Ultramar 45. It's not the perfect charter boat. It's, in my mind, it's the perfect charter boat. I love to sail it. You know, it was so much fun. But yeah, but when you're talking about like, okay, we need to have a decent amount of guests on here. Basically, if it was a 4-cabin boat, it could have been a lot better. But we actually changed the sail lockers, which on an Ultramar are narrow and long. We changed the sail lockers to be skipper cabins. So Edda was in one, I was in the other, like climbing over spinnakers to get into our beds and stuff. So it wasn't, nobody else would do that. I couldn't pay anyone else to do that. If I'm doing it myself, it's fine, but no other professional skipper is going to sleep in there. So yeah, we got rid of that boat. Blessing in disguise. I'm going to miss that boat a lot, but it just wasn't perfect for the purpose. So for now, we have some other interesting plans that we'll talk about if they happen. But for now, we're chartering boats. So we did our first flotilla in Greece. Well, what did we do? I did a 2-week charter on a charter boat in Greece. Then the next week we did a performance catamaran week, which was sick on a like turbocharged. Yeah, it was like a turbocharged version of the Vagabond. So it was actually, I did a race in Greece on a sister ship to that. It's an Ultramar 4X, so it's like carbon fiber, fiberglass hull, but still like carbon fiber rotating mast and 6 sails and stuff. It's like turbo version of Le Vagabond. So I did a race on it, and this boat on the sister ship, and then this boat beat us. And so I did a charter on the boat that beat us, and had people on board doing performance course, which was fantastic. Then we had our first flotilla in Greece, which was 6 boats. We did that with Navigare. And then we did 5 boats in Croatia, which was fantastic. And yeah, we had Forrest, Riley and Elena's videographer, out to get videos and photos and stuff. And it was awesome. Greece in particular was fantastic because we had 2 people there that were skippering for the first time. So one of my previous students and an English guy who were coming through to skipper for the first time. And the beauty of a flotilla is every morning they sit down with me. We talk about the wind, talk about what reef I'm going to put in, how are we going to anchor when we get there? Are we docking? If so, where do we net our fenders and all that sort of stuff? And then, you know, I'm buzzing around in a dinghy supporting everyone when we get to everywhere. And so that was really cool. And then, yeah, this season we're going to be working in the British Virgin Islands. Ta-da! Sorry, that's a big announcement. British Virgin Islands, using Horizon Yacht Charters boats down there, and then back in the Abacos, as well, using Cruise Abacos boats up there, which are Cruise Abacos, great friends of ours. They helped us out in the Abacos a lot, so yeah, we're really happy to use their boats and sort of hang out with those guys. They're great people. So so
mate, you know, everyone who I've spoke to about that business or they've mentioned that company, they all sound nice. They are Cruise Abacos.
Oh, the nicest people. Yeah, they were at the boat show.
Never met them. I don't know who they are.
You should have met them. So that's who we stayed with in Annapolis. And Chad, send me how much that Airbnb was. He doesn't want me to pay my share for it, but he's too nice.
That's a good friend to have. No,
Annapolis is expensive, so
it is expensive, mate. Do you know what I thought? Because I thought America had just gone ridiculously expensive. I used to go there when I was younger in my 20s. I used to just go to like New York for a weekend because you could get a cheap flight for like $350 from like the UK or a bit more from where I was living at the time. But you could do a cheap weekend in New York. You know, have some drinks. You know, go for a nice walk around the city. It's just a cool place to like spend a weekend. And like the prices now are just insane. It's gone so expensive. And Annapolis is expensive as well. It's a very expensive place to spend time.
It is expensive to hang out. And I think during the boat show, the prices of accommodation go sky high as well. But it wasn't a cheap week to hang out. That was a serious investment for us to go there. And shout out to the Young Cruisers Association and Sea People app for having us in their in their little booth there. So without them helping us get in there, we couldn't have done it. So that's cool.
Mate, it was a good setup, that booth. We had like all the YCA people was there. I was there. We were all having drinks, like getting to know everyone, having a good time. You guys were there. We were having chats about your like you know your boating experience and stuff. It was a great few days. It was brilliant. It's good for meeting people.
The boat show was epic. It was because we're all friends on social media or whatever. We comment here and there. Might have bumped into somebody in the Abacos or something like that. But there was a really solid crew of us there, and getting to actually shake hands, share a beer, share a yarn, and it was just really nice, and really nice to bring the community actually together. And the Young Cruisers Awards really did that as well. It was really brought everyone together, and everyone's talking about what's going on and stuff. It was cool. Enjoyed it a lot.
It was good, mate. Like one thing that I thought was great about like the content creator stuff is like everyone's kind of got the same values, and they've all got the same ideas about what they want out of life and what they want to do on the boat and all that type of stuff. And it was great to like spend a lot of time with people who are from so many different countries, like all over the world, but everyone's prepared to help each other and join in, and everyone wants everyone to have a good time and be successful. Like it's a good group of people, man. It really is.
It is. I'm on the outside of the YouTube thing, and I didn't know if there was going to be rivalry, if there was going to be so and so doesn't like so and so, and I'm sure there is a bit of that behind the scenes, but everybody everything that I saw, everybody was so supportive of each other. I love what you're doing. I don't know, here's advice if you need it, or go talk to these people, they can help you out, or it's really cool. Liked it a lot. Yeah.
Well, listen, mate. Let's tell everyone where they need to go to find out information about the charters and the courses that you're running. Is it like a website, or should they go on your Instagram, or what's the best way?
www.vagabondeadventures.com. Remember, Vagabond has an E on the end, otherwise it takes you to like an Estonian snow skiing company. Sorry for using your same name. So no, I'm not a skier.
It's not a collaboration, that one. No. Estonian skiing company.
Yeah. And then all that socials are like at vagabond.adventures, I think. And just started Twitter, strangely enough. I never thought I'd see the day, but I never thought I'd see the day. But hey, you've got to be on all the platforms. And we just started putting our videos up on YouTube, so we don't do vlogging sort of stuff, but there's a bit of promo stuff up on there. And we've done some fun trips, and there's some fun sort of content coming out. And get in touch if so we offer 3 different types of trips. We call it the holiday, kind of speaks for itself. Learn the ropes, which is sail coaching. So this is particularly great if you're already certified, or you don't care about certifications, or maybe you want training on your own boat, or maybe you just want to go for a sail and you want to learn and you want to have an interactive holiday, but you don't ever plan to skipper for yourself or something like that. So that's been really great. And we do that kind of fits in with like deliveries and stuff as well. We've got Atlantic crossings coming up with people on performance catamarans that maybe have never had a catamaran or never had a performance catamaran. We're sort of particularly experienced with that. And then our third trip is called Get Certified. So we offer certification with the American Sailing Association. So I'm a yacht master instructor with the RYA and an ASA instructor as well. But the ASA is great to work with, and great way to learn sailing. And so we do like week-long liveaboard sailing courses in the British Virgin Islands. That's our newest location. The Abaco Islands, Croatia, and Greece. So it's a lot of fun. Great way to learn. And when you do a liveaboard sailing course, you're on board the boat for a full week, and you're fully immersed in the sailing sort of lifestyle. So there are pros and cons to that. Weekend courses are good because some people in the States will do weekend courses, like 4 weekends in a row to do a course or whatever, and it gives you time for everything to sink in. But I think it's definitely nice for people to have be fully immersed in, we're living on a boat, we're cooking on a boat, we're showering on a boat, we're waking up in the morning, having a coffee and going for a swim off the back of the boat. That whole lifestyle is pretty awesome. So it's cool for them to experience.
Mate, that's a really good range of services as well. I love the idea about how you're offering where, if somebody just gets a new boat and they don't know what to do with it, or they're not sure, you can go aboard and you can sail with them, but teach them like at the same time. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so I just came back from a trip. I got back yesterday, the day before. So I sailed, it was like 600 miles from the Whitsunday Islands up in northeastern
Yep.
Australia. And we got down to Brisbane. I was supposed to join to Sydney, but the weather came in and messed with us. But that was on a Ultramar 5X, so the biggest model that Ultramar makes. They're 59-foot. This boat was carbon optioned everything and 6 sails and stuff. And the owner, absolute legend guy, but he'd had professionals on sailing with him, and maybe they didn't have the same sort of coaching mindset, and they were just working as skippers kind of thing.
Right.
And so there's a difference between a skipper and an instructor or a coach. A
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of sailors don't like to share their own knowledge kind of thing. So, we're building confidence. I helped him dock, standing right next to him as he's docking, and he's like, all right, I'm going to pass this over to you if anything goes wrong. And I'm like, no, you've got this. And we hoisted the spinnaker for the first time in 4 years and all that sort of good stuff. And really,
Nice.
really passionate about that. It's super awesome to build people's confidence and see that they're like, essentially they'll enjoy sailing more and enjoy sailing for longer because they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
So yeah, really passionate about that. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome, mate. All right. Vagabond Adventures. What did you say with an E on the end? Where'd you put the E?
Vagabonde, like sailing La Vagabond, Vagabonde,
Oh, is that how it's spelled?
Adventures.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think vagabond, the dictionary spelling doesn't have an E on the end, but Riley was feeling fancy. He bought the boat in Italy,
So it's,
so Vagabonde.
yeah, bit European, bit of a European Australia
Yeah,
twist on the day of vagabondeadventures.com. Well, listen, mate, it's been good
exactly.
having a chat with you again, and yeah,
Yeah,
we'll be
man.
talking again soon.
Yeah, hopefully we've got some exciting plans to talk about next time. But yeah, thanks very much. Lovely to meet you at the boat show, and won't
Same.
be the last time we're hanging out.